Hey guys, this is Bruce. Welcome to the Convocourses podcast. Every week we talk about cybersecurity. It's open topics again. Every now and then I'll just go ahead and break out some teaching for free. I'll do webinars on here. I'll walk people through resumes, anything having to do with cybersecurity. That's what we're talking about. I've already been talking to TikTok. If you haven't followed me on TikTok, I'm on TikTok. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. Basically, almost any platform you go on, I'm there. All the main ones, I'm there as Convocourses. So go ahead and follow me, where we talk about mostly cybersecurity. At some point, maybe we'll switch it up and make it a little bit broader discussion. But right now, it's just cybersecurity stuff. So let's get right into it. Let me continue to answer some questions on TikTok. Let me see. Somebody said, just transitioned from system admin to being an ISO. Any advice? Yes, I got lots of advice. So system admin, that system administration is mostly technical. It's very focused on usually one vendor and one configuration of a network or a system, right? So that's what you're used to. You could be a system admin on a Windows system or a system admin on Red Hat systems or a combination of both. But typically system admins are like this. They kind of are focused on their one thing. The difference between that and an information system security officer is that with the information system security officer, you got to look at the big picture. You got to go from looking at just your vendor, your system, and going out like this. What that means is you're looking from the perspective as a cybersecurity person, you're looking from the perspective of the whole organization. How can we protect the organization's security posture? Meaning, so you're not just concerned with your one system as a system admin, right? You might have been a Linux admin or a Windows admin. You were focused on if something happened with the network piece, like on a switch somewhere on another system, you weren't concerned with that. You were like, I got to focus on my stuff, right? As an ISO, as a cybersecurity person, you got to look at the big picture. It's one of the biggest things, the biggest stretches of your imagination is going to be, how can we, the organization, I say we because another thing is you don't want to take on that responsibility for yourself. You're not the end all. You're not the sheriff. Okay. Some organizations, they'll treat you like the sheriff, but the reason why I say that doesn't rest on your shoulders is because cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. They might try to pin it all on you, but it's a we thing. It's everybody's responsibility. So for one thing, you want to broaden your imagination. Like, you got to think from the perspective of the whole organization. How can we secure our network? So you're concerned with not just your system admin Windows server. You're concerned with, how does the network tie in? How are devices vulnerabilities holding up? How is our network attached storage area system going? Is it updated with the latest patches? Do we have a system in place to keep up with the patching that's going on that needs to happen? Are we patching it all? Do we have a policy in place to do? So you're thinking about all this stuff. You're not doing everything. You're meeting up with all the people who should be doing their piece. So you might meet up with the system administrator guys and say, hey, how are we doing on the vulnerabilities? You might meet up with the network team and say, okay, did we update our ISOs for our Cisco switches, our Cisco routers? Are we updated on the latest routing protocols? You gotta be a master, a jack of all trades, because you got to know a little bit of each thing. You got to think much broader as an information system security officer, and don't stress yourself out by thinking that you are the sheriff of everything, right? You're not. It's the responsibility of everyone to take on cybersecurity, including the user who's not a system admin. A user is just as responsible for the network as you or the network people are. And the reason I say that is because they can just let one little piece in. If they click the wrong thing, you guys are screwed. So everybody has a little piece of cybersecurity. It's everyone's responsibility. Every now and then, you got to remind the organization of that. I mean, yeah, you can chase down certain vulnerabilities or whatever, right? And that might be your job, to have a meeting with the system team or whatever, but it's not you who's going to be touching every piece. It's going to be everyone. So a lot of times you are the focal point of all the security. So people will try to hold you responsible for everything, but ultimately it's everyone's responsibility. So don't try to take that on. You'll be really stressed out if you think that you're supposed to be the person that busts down doors and say, hey, why is that router not secure? That's not your job. You're more like a reporter that comes in and says, okay, is this done? Oh, it's not? Okay, when can we get it done? Let's document when we can get it done. Let's have a plan of action of when we can get that done. Next, okay, configuration management review board. Is there new stuff that's happening right now? Okay, there's something new being put on the network. Okay, what are we doing to secure that system? That's your job. So you're going from having this small scope of responsibility of doing a system to doing like having a broad understanding of the security features of the whole network, of the whole system, of the whole enterprise. So it's a very different mindset from a system admin to an information system security officer or any cybersecurity professional for that matter. I hope that helps. That was one of the things I wrestled with because I went from the technical side to where you're at right now. And that one took me years to what I just told you in 6 minutes took me 6 years to figure out. You know what I mean? Because I thought we were supposed to be the sheriff and bust down doors and stuff. And it's not the case, man. So that's a little bit of game right there. Somebody said on LinkedIn, just got a new job as an ISO at a top company. What should I study to help me hit the ground running? That's a great question. User on LinkedIn. So it depends on what cybersecurity framework you're using. May I ask which cybersecurity framework you're using? Because I'll give you a couple examples. If your organization is in the government, each industry uses different frameworks. And a framework is just a set of rules that's set up by usually laws and regulations of a government or laws and regulations of an industry. So I'll give you a couple examples that are completely different. Like one would be the government. The government, U.S. federal government, by the way, because each country, nation state has their own rules. And so federal U.S. government, they use risk management framework. It says, I'm coming from a DOD and we'll be using risk management framework. Okay, great. Okay. So let me start you off with a couple things. Number one, you want to go back and read it's called the NIST 800 special publications. The main ones, there's like hundreds of them. So the main ones you want to pay attention to is the first one I would say is called the NIST 800-37. That is the risk management framework in a nutshell. It's about, I don't know, an 80-page document, 100-page. I don't remember how long it is, but you read through that and it's going to break down all of the steps that every federal organization is supposed to go through. It's a great guidance because whether you're in the DOD or NASA or the Department of Homeland Security, they all use the same framework. They might call it a little bit different, have all these different names for it and everything, but it's essentially the same thing. Once you understand the NIST 837 Rev 2, because there's a revision 2 and a revision 1, you want revision 2. Once you understand it, once you have a decent understanding of how it works, you can go to any federal organization and it's gonna make sense. So NIST 837 is the first one. Another one you want to check out is the FIPS 199 and the FIPS 200. Between the two of these, they might be 10 pages collectively. It's not one's 4 pages, one's like 8 pages or something. And one's talking about how security controls apply to a system, and the other one is breaking down how to categorize the security controls. It's a very short read, but it's very complementary to the NIST 837. And then you want to check out the NIST 853, which is it categorizes all the security controls. The security controls are merely the features that you would put on a system and within an organization. It's not just technical controls, by the way. It includes physical controls, environmental controls. It includes operational controls. There's literally thousands of controls in there, hundreds of controls that come up to a little over 1,000, I should say. And you don't have to read every control, but what you want to do is get an idea of the families of controls that will apply to a system. I would read through the first entry, the introduction, and then I would kind of get an idea of each family of controls. That's what I would do. And the other documents that you should read, those are the main ones. the other ones, you said DOD, right? So the other one you want to do is DISA. DISA has some documentations you want to check out. Off the top of my head, oh man, I'm trying to think of the DOD. It's called DOD IT, Risk Management Framework for DOD. Let me just go on handy dandy Google real quick. Risk Management Framework for DOD. If you read the ones I just told you, it's going to be a great guidance for everything else, because everything else is kind of dependent on that. But the Department of Defense has its own interpretation of this. And I'm trying to think of the document. I don't know if they've changed the name of it, but we used to be called 8500 series. It was called DIACAP, but now it's changed to fit Risk Management Framework, NIST 837 to be exact. I'm getting your NIST book as well. I already have your CSF book. Yes, the NIST one's where you want to, this NIST series is going to help you out quite a bit. My background is really in the Department of Defense. My background is the Department of Defense. It's what I've done most of all. Okay, so let me send you down another path here. This right here, the 8500 series, 8510-01. And what you'll find is that Risk Management Framework for the Department of Defense, it really piggybacks off of everything you're going to read in the NIST 800. Look at this. Preparing steps, Risk Management Framework, preparing steps. This is exactly what the NIST 837 talks about right here. Prepare, categorize, select, implement, assess, authorize, and monitor. That's everything you're going to do in the Department of Defense. This is exactly the same as what all federal organizations are supposed to do according to a regulation called FISMA. You don't necessarily have to read FISMA right now. It's a law. But if you understand what's going on with NIST 837 and NIST 53, you'll pretty much understand what the laws. That's what the NIST 800 series is supposed to do, is kind of guide every organization through this process. But if you want to go deeper, you're going to go into the 8500 series right here. And this is going to tell you a lot more of what you need to know. The other things I would have you do is look at your organization. And this is probably as important as everything I just told you, is look at your organization. Wherever organization you're in, go look at their security policies and read them. Read it cover to cover. And it's going to be boring. It's going to be dry, but I promise you, after you read their security policy, whatever organization, this works every time. I've worked for pharma. I worked for NASA. I've worked for the private sector. I've worked for financial institutions, healthcare industries. The first thing that you do is read their security plan. If you read their security plan, you'll have a very good understanding of not only what's supposed to happen. If you were to assess it, you would go by the security plan. I mean, you would go by whatever security policy they've put in place. That's what assessors do. Basically, they just say, what is it that you're supposed to be doing? And then they read your security policy and say, this says here in your security policy, you're supposed to do this. And if you don't do that, then that's a ding against you. You said you were supposed to do it. It's been signed by everybody here. Like, that's what you're supposed to do, right? So, so read their security policies. Read all their security policies. It's going to be boring. It's going to be dry. But after that, people are going to be like, how do you know all this stuff? Because I read your security policy. This is what you're supposed. And the security policy typically will point you to all the main reference material that you're supposed to read. Like if the Army has AR 25-2, I think it's called. The Air Force has their own, and all these are just, it's the same thing. It all comes back to the NIST 800 series. It all comes back to that. They have different acronyms and different names. But if you do what I just told you, you're going to level up super fast. People are going to think you're some kind of prodigy, but all you did was read the freaking manual. You know what I mean? So I hope that helps you out. Let me read some TikTok stuff here. Thanks for the hearts, TikTok. I appreciate y'all. Let me see. Somebody said entry level. Look at JD and it's 5 years. Okay. People need to stop expecting six figures for the first job. Amen. Help desk first. My man, you're spot on. Yes. I've been doing this for some time. So I've actually been the person who who hires, like they, a couple organizations that I work for would have me go out and do the interviews. I was the technical guy. They said, hey, could you interview these 5 people? And so I know what they're looking for, right? And typically I would be looking for somebody who's going to be able to work with me side by side. And experience was the number one thing. If they had experience, that's going to trump any other thing that they have going on. Now, if they're very good, if they don't have experience, but they are very knowledgeable, and they're answering all my basic questions. Like I'm asking them, what's this port? What's port 25? What is that? What's port 22? What's port 23? And it's like boom, 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 boom. And what's the difference between a public IP and a private IP? What are the risks between the two of those? And they can answer all those. That's great. That is great. Like if you know that basic knowledge, then that is actually a great sign. So you do want to know the basics of IT. Okay. So don't bypass that. But the next step is to have some experience. And that's really the part that you need to be focusing your mind on. Get experience. Get hands-on as much as you can experience, because that's going to integrate you into knowing how an organization does IT. At all, how they do it. So, and you really need to know that if you're coming in off the street, coming from a whole nother job, you really need to know the basics, the common body of knowledge, and then have that hands-on experience as much as possible. Somebody said, how can I transition from a data engineer to a cybersecurity? What would be a good path there? A good path from a data engineer. So from my understanding, a data engineer is somebody who takes information and makes it more meaningful. They put it in the charts and reports, and they might make like graphs and things like that, but they're taking large sets of data and they're like reorganizing the data. So they might know a little bit of scripting. They might know how to do Excel spreadsheets. They might know a little bit of SQL stuff. There's a couple paths you can take with that. So you're going to want to know a little bit more about the infrastructure from the data, because from a data engineer, correct me if I'm wrong, I've never been a data engineer before, but the data engineer is just taking data and then sorting it. They're just doing stuff with that data. What you want to start thinking about is the infrastructure. How did you get the data? Where is that data stored? So if you're working from a database, for example, and you could be getting it from a cloud service, you could be getting it from all kinds of other places, your server. You want to kind of focus on where is it coming from. If it's coming from a database, you want to start thinking about how does that database work? How can we protect that database? Those are the kinds of things you want to start knowing about. How does that database connect it to the rest of the network? You're kind of expanding your understanding of the whole piece. It's a more holistic understanding. From a cybersecurity perspective, what you want to start doing is learning. If you're getting it from a database, you probably want to look into doing a DBA type, knowing more about the data relational database you're getting information from. If you're getting from the cloud, you might want to start learning cloud stuff. Like learn the infrastructure of where you're getting the data from would be a great place for you to start, because I'm just thinking from if I'm in a data engineering job and I know my data is coming from some relational database, now the next step is going to be, how can I get my hands on some more control of that database? What could I do? SQL is a great place to start. If you know some SQL, learn about something called SQL injection attacks. That is a method of gaining information from a database with little or no authorization or privileges. That hack right there is going to make it so you have to know a little bit about the database. You have to know a little bit about SQL. You have to know a little bit more about the infrastructure. It's expanding your knowledge a little bit more about cybersecurity. So from a data engineer, what you want to start doing is expanding your knowledge of basic IT stuff, right? And from where you're at, if you're getting your data from a cloud or a database, learn about those infrastructure. And then you could probably start, if you're solid on IT, basic IT stuff, you can probably get a Security Plus, and it's going to expand your knowledge base quite a bit. It's going to make you start thinking about all the pieces that fit together and how you can secure those pieces. So that's kind of what I would recommend you do. Number one, get some SQL experience, get some database experience, get some, that way you can put that on your resume. Great path for you right there, right off the bat. Because if you're already in the field now, you want to exploit all the little things that you already know. So you can put that on your resume. And then you can expand your knowledge by doing a Security Plus, CompTIA Security Plus, very marketable certification. Put that on your resume. Start thinking about anything you do whatsoever regarding security. Like if you've ever secured the system that you're on that allows you to do the database engineering, put that on your resume. If you've updated patches, it's something that we don't really think about, but you actually do security, all of us, all the time. We don't even think about it because it's kind of in the background. It's like you must reboot this system in order to install patches. It's already done in the background. Put that on your resume. Somehow work that into your resume. Look at the patch that's been uploaded on your system and then patch your system. Update the virus definitions. Update your look at the firewall features. Set up a firewall on your system. Do things on the network that you're working on from a data engineer. So you can put that stuff on your resume and say that you secured your network. You secured the data of the pharma company that you work for, because that's what you're doing. If whatever system you're on, you're securing the system. You're helping that pharma company to secure their network. You know, even if you're working from home, if your system's not secure and you're working from home, I mean, listen, think about it. I mean, that's what you got to put on your resume, the things that you've done. You've done the thing. You secured your system and you've protected that pharma data. You got to put that on your resume. So that's what I would do as a path forward for cybersecurity if I was already doing data engineering. I hope that helps. Somebody says, is there a data cybersecurity role? Was that the same guy asked the same question? So cybersecurity it's a very, you call it information system security. And what that means is you're doing all of the best security practices to protect data. To protect data, it's GRC, basically. We don't call it data security roles. We don't call it data. You call it information security, also known as GRC. It's a kind of a popular term that's being thrown around. You're protecting data. You're protecting access to data. You're encrypting data. You're doing multi-factor authentication. You can see how you've got to think way bigger for cybersecurity. You can't just think of your one little piece of protecting just this one bit of data or doing something with this one system or this one sheet of data that you have to work with. It's just, you got to think way bigger because it's tied to everything else. And so the more things are integrated and the more access you have or allow, the more risk that there is. And so you got to think about what is the risk to the whole fabric of the enterprise. That's why I'm telling you, like, the next step you got to do is think bigger. You got to start thinking about the infrastructure, because that's where cybersecurity lives, is in the infrastructure of a system. Let me see. I got a couple other questions here on Whoa, I got a couple questions on LinkedIn. That's kind of cool. Let me see here. Somebody said, you got my book. Man, thanks a lot. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. It's great support. Every purchase of my books is, if you guys didn't know, I'm an author. I'm a published author. Everything I'm talking to you about, I have a book about. And if I don't have a book about it, I'm about to write a book about it. All this stuff that's in my head, I've been putting it into courses and books and stuff, a lot of which are free. Like, so you can just go out there and get the stuff. But I really appreciate people who actually purchase the book and stuff. This really helps me out quite a bit. My actual first live. Okay. Hope I don't disappoint. Let me see. Somebody said, from LinkedIn, they said, I just got out of the Army after 10 years working as a system admin in January. Okay, congrats. I used your videos to get an opportunity at Boeing. I appreciate you. Oh, shit, that's awesome. You hear that, guys? I got a testimonial. That's from people watching my stuff, people buying my books. So I'm helping people. A testimonial right there. Somebody got out of the Army, used my material to get a job at Boeing, hopefully making 6 figures or more, because that's awesome. Appreciate you and congrats on your new job. Hope it's better than the Army. Okay. Having clearance give you a sense of job security, but with an ISO or information security officer or information security engineer experience, are there any downsides for losing your clearance? Yeah, I'd say yes and no. Mohammed, this is a great question. This is something I was paranoid about. A lot of us information system security people are very paranoid about losing our clearances. And I was one of them until I discovered another another path as I freaking had. I'm about to enlighten some of you guys. Some of you guys about to be, I mean, listen, maybe you don't have the same experience as I did, but I was so paranoid about losing this clearance that I stayed working with the government for almost 20 years. I mean, but then I put my resume out and I started getting offers from the private sector. The private sector is getting smarter and more in tune with doing compliance because they're getting hacked just like everybody else. The infrastructure of major companies are getting torn apart by nation states, and so they have to be more compliant. And that compliance goes in every industry. When I say compliance, that means just a set of rules that everyone must follow to protect your credit card information, your healthcare information, your banking information. Every industry has its own set of rules, right? So they need us. If you've been working with the government and so for the government, you have to have a clearance. Let me back up a little bit. What he means, what Mohammed is talking about is when you work for the government, the U.S. government, I assume it's for Canada and all other countries too, you have to have like a clearance. And that security clearance is basically, they do this huge background check on you that goes back like 7 years. And then they're asking your neighbors about you and stuff, depending on your clearance level. You got a secret clearance and you got a top secret clearance and you got stuff above top secret. You got caveats of top secret. I've had all of these things. They've got something called a public trust, but that's not a security clearance. That's a background check that anybody can get. And normally, if you're a U.S. citizen, you are eligible to get a secret and top secret clearance. But if you're not a U.S. citizen, or just a green card holder, you can still get a public trust if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, I digress. Cybersecurity does not need you to have a security clearance. It's a separate thing. So it's two separate things. They usually do a background check on you if you do cybersecurity because they got to be able to trust you. They're going to be giving you kind of the keys to the castle, in some cases. So typically they do like a brief, and you can do like companies will do like a short background check on you, but that's not a security clearance. It's different. But back to the subject. I myself used to be very paranoid about losing the clearance. And as a matter of fact, a friend of mine was like, man, I'm about to lose my clearance. Like, what do I do? And let me just tell you something. I got paid better in the private sector that didn't require me to have a secret or top secret clearance than I got paid in the government. They pay better. And I worked at Verizon as a matter of fact, and I had to have a public trust, but that's not a security clearance. So yes, people are paranoid about it, but you don't need to be, because depending on what kind of work you've done, a lot of things translate very well to the outside. For example, if you know NIST 800 risk management framework, if you dabble even a little bit, if you even a little bit familiar with PCI DSS, if you're even a little bit familiar, I'm talking about you read it. Like you've done NIST 800 or Cybersecurity Framework with the NIST, or you've done Department of Defense security controls. If you've done those things, that experience that you have translates very, very well to PCI compliance, ISO 27001, HIPAA. It translates to all those other frameworks. So I started getting hired from these like pharma companies and all this other stuff, having never worked in those industries before. One that was hard to get into that I haven't gotten into yet was critical infrastructure. Like I had an interview with them, and they were like, "Nah, you've never done this before, so we don't like want you." That was the only place. But all the other ones I've done, healthcare industry, pharma. I've done, all these other organizations that need this work done with my DOD experience. So it translates very well. To answer your question, yes, people are paranoid about it, but you don't need to be. You don't need to be, because if you lose the clearance, it closes some doors, because some companies only want you to have a clearance. They only will take you, but not all doors. Like, you still have a lot of doors that will pay you more and have better benefits, by the way, in some cases, money-wise, have better benefits. Let me see. Got some other questions here. Somebody said, "What's up, man? Literally forgot. Literally at Fort Gordon right now doing an AIT for 25 Bravo IT specialist." See, that's jargon for he's an IT guy in the Army. And that's what you got to put on your resume. You can't put AIT 25 Bravo. Nobody's going to know what the hell that is on your resume. Don't put that on your resume. Put what it is. Anyway, I digress. He says, would going to WGU and getting a bachelor's degree in cybersecurity be enough for an internship or an entry-level defense position job? Possibly, but I would expand your horizon. Don't just look for a DOD job. Expand your horizons to any kind of, not just defense. Many departments in the federal government are looking for people like with your skill set. I'll tell you right now, you are in demand as a 25 Bravo and as an IT specialist. Having done what you're about to do, you're going to be in demand in all federal jobs, all federal IT jobs. Number one, there's a lot. Like when I got out of the military, I was in the Air Force, and I ignorantly thought that I could only get jobs with, contracting jobs with the Air Force, because that's the branch I was in. No. I went straight as a contractor in the Army. And then from there, I went to the DOD, and then back to the Air Force, and then to NASA. And then I did Department of Homeland Security. I did NASA. I did multiple other federal organizations, right? And then I did contractors who worked for various organizations. It just expanded my horizon. Don't just look for defense jobs. Like, there's so much going on out there. You just need to articulate what you've done in a way that they'll understand it. And to do that, what you can do is check out my resume. My resume is pretty vanilla, plain Jane. Like, it's speaking civilian speak. So if you it's going to be it's going to come down to your resume, and it's a numbers game. The more you put your resume out there, it kind of sounds odd. Once I tell you the secret, like, it's obvious. You get the right keywords on your resume. You put as many keywords as possible. Don't put any jargon like 25 Bravo. Nobody knows what 25 Bravo is, man. I worked with the Army for a number of years, so I know. I worked with the 25 Bravos when I was in the Air Force. I worked with 25 Bravos when I was out of the Air Force. I know what 25 Bravos do and what they are, what you guys are capable of. But nobody else outside of you and I know what 25 Bravo is. You got to say what it is. Like, what it is your information. You might want to put cybersecurity specialist. That's a better keyword that people are throwing around these days. Put cybersecurity specialist, right? And you're not lying. That's what 25 Bravos do. Like, half your job is securing systems, right? Put what you do, which is cybersecurity. You're a cybersecurity specialist. Put that on there. If you don't feel comfortable saying cybersecurity, put cyber IT specialist. Anything. Don't put 25 Bravo. You could even put IT specialist, but that's too general. I'll put cybersecurity if I were you. But yes, the WGU, excellent. That's awesome. Let the military pay for it, and then when you get out, you won't have to do an internship, brother. You won't have to do an internship. They're going to hire you. You're going to be working, making six figures, man. You do a number of years, like, yeah, you already have experience in the military. So you'll have paid your dues, and You won't have to be an intern. And then you say, okay, you said the same thing on that one. Okay. Let me see if I got any more questions on. I'm gonna try to speed run these TikTok questions. Somebody said, how long should I do help desk before transitioning to a role like a junior system admin? Depends on the job you're doing. From a help desk to a system admin is going to depend on your skill set usually within the organization. They'll usually, whenever I've worked help desk and going to system admin, they try to choose the people who have the best work ethic. They would try to use people who had the best troubleshooting skills, people who wanted to progress, and people who wanted to do better and wanted to learn. Those are the people who were best for going from help desk to system admin. So it's not really a matter of time. It's more a matter of your skill set and what you're willing to learn and what you're willing to do for that job. And so that's really where it's at. Let me see. Some other people have some other questions here. Any advice for a new ISO? Yes. So for new ISOs, I would say read their security policy, number one. Take the time to read their boring ass security policy and understand it. Another thing is everything doesn't rest on your shoulders. Do not try to take on all things. You're not all things to all people. Okay, listen, you are part of the team, and it's the organization's responsibility as a whole to manage the security posture of the network. All you're doing is you're the mouthpiece. You might be the person who brings everybody together. You're the connector who's doing the meetings and stuff, but you're not the person putting the firewall rules on the firewall. You're not the person putting updating the iOS on the Cisco devices. You're not the person that's going touching every system. You are part of the team. The security is everyone's responsibility, not just yours. Don't stress yourself out thinking you got to bust down doors and take out the bad guys. You're a reporter. You're not the freaking cops. Okay. So don't take everything on your shoulders. Also read their freaking manual. That's their security policies. Another thing is listen to your team. Listen to a lot of times what happens is for whatever reason, it gets its human nature. Cybersecurity people want to pit themselves against the actual field techs. It's so dumb. It's so stupid. And the field techs are like, man, I hate security. And security's like, I hate IT. And it's just dumb because you're on the same fucking team. It's like it doesn't make any sense. You're all fighting the same fight. You'll have the same mission. You have to doing the same business. You're getting paid from the same people. So why would you put yourself against? I understand you got to deal with assholes sometimes, but that's in every part of this game. Like whenever you're in any job, you got to work with. Even if you're doing roofing, you got to work with some asshole. So what you need to do is listen to your IT people. They tell you, listen, man, I understand we have to put multi-factor authentication on 500 systems. I see what you're saying. However, I'm telling you it's not possible because of X. Listen to what they're saying. I'm not telling you be on their team. That's what it's been way easier for me when I go into another organization and I listen to the IT guys and they're like, nah, man, we can't do it. Here's why. And I'm like, okay. I'll bring the managers in and be like, okay, listen, we have this issue. The manual says we're supposed to put multi-factor authentication, but I've got the IT team here and they're saying that we can't because X, Y, and Z. And then now it's the manager's problem. Okay, what else can we do? What other solutions do we have? So now it's a team effort. It's not me saying, hey, IT team said they're not going to do it. Because this is what a lot of IT people, information security guys do. IT team said they ain't going to do it. Oh, well, I don't know what they're going to do. I guess they're about to get in trouble. No, what you do is you go into a room, you meet with everybody and say, we're having a problem here. The manual says we're supposed to put multi-factor authentication here, but we can't do it because Mac OS doesn't take this particular scripting language that we have to do multi-factor authentication. Okay, what can we do? What are our alternatives, right? work things out as a team. Have a we kind of attitude. It'll make your life a lot easier. So those are the three things I would tell you to do as a new ISO. Everything else you'll learn over time. You'll learn the risk management framework. You'll learn how to deal with difficult people. But those are some of the challenges I had that took me many years to understand. And now that I understand it, my job's a lot easier. I'm just more chill. I don't freak out about things, right? So when I go into a meeting, I'm just chill. I'm like, yeah, we're all going to solve this problem as a team. I'm not like, I have to fix this and all stressed out and burned out and stuff and having people scream at me and stuff. No, I'll calm people down and say, well, what are we going to do? They're freaking out. I'm like, okay, well, how can we fix it? How can we fix this? If they're like, well, you did this. I'm like, okay, I understand that. Did you want, should we have managers in here? Like, we should all come together and try to fix this together because, it's not going to get fixed by us yelling at each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a solution guy at the end of the day. If you're not trying to do solutions and you're trying to go behind my back and tell my boss about what I'm not doing or whatever, that's not going to help me. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help anybody, So let's just fix the problem. Okay, let me see. Yes, somebody said, yes, I'm certified in CISA, C-Risk, CISM, ISO 27001, and a bunch of ISO standards. That's awesome, man. That is incredible. Why should I become a software engineer? You shouldn't. I'm very experienced at conducting such assessments, and I work from a certified company. Awesome. That's incredible, man. We should meet up sometime. I've been looking for somebody to teach an ISO 27001 course. We split the profits. I'll help you to write it. Contact me at convocourses@gmail.com or convocourses. Contact@convocourses.com is another way you can contact me if you're interested. I've got 10,000 people who follow me. So if you want to make money, just contact me. Do you think I can find a job? I don't have much experience, but I have a customer service. Sounds like you already have a job. Customer service doing what? I'd have to know a little bit more about where you're at. I mean, can you find one eventually? But I have to know where you're at to figure. You said fresh out of high school with prior years of experience in customer service and management. Oh, I see. What could you do? We have a few options. I'm just gonna kind of shotgun it and give you a couple. You can go into the military and get about 4 years of experience in IT. You'd want to get an MOS or an AFSC in that field in IT before you shit on being in the military. Let me tell you, it's going to give you an incredible amount of experience very quickly. I would tell you not to go in there for only one reason. Go in there to travel the world. Go in there to go to university, get your certifications and a degree. Go in there to start a new life and get experience. Don't go in there for one reason. Go into for multiple reasons, so that if they send you to the front lines, you have multiple reasons that you're there in a foxhole digging holes or whatever they're gonna have you do. So I'm just telling you the truth, man. But okay, that's one option, military. Oh, also I would say go into the Air Force. Don't go into the Army or the Marines for obvious reasons. And if you're in the Army, and if you ask an Army or Marines guy, they'll tell you the same thing. Okay, so that's one option, military, and going into as a 25 Bravo if you're in the Army, or IT person in the Navy or whatever you're going to do. Okay, so another option, fresh out of high school, is to go to college. People shit on college as well, but the big picture is you're about to become an engineer. And what engineers do you know? How many engineers do you know that didn't go to school? That didn't go to 4 years of school? Not many. Go to school. If you're trying to become an engineer, if you want to take this serious, if you have the option, if you have the money, if you have the resources to do it, go to school. You could start off in community college to see if you want to do this. Because a lot of times one of my kids went to community college for a while, one class. They were like, I'm out. Like, this is not for me. So it's not for everybody. Try it. Community college is pretty cheap. The tuition fee is not high. It'll give you It'll give you an associate's degree. By the time you get not even halfway to that associate's degree, you'll know if you want to do this or not. So that's one thing you could do. Go into community college as a into IT, information technology, or cybersecurity, some kind of anything dealing with computers will do. Any one of those will do. Associate's degree, information systems, information technology, computer science, any one of those associate's degree in a community college would do great. It will give you time to develop and fill out your experience and your knowledge base. It will open up other doors and avenues because you'll start to meet other people who are already in the industry, and who can guide you. Like the students that are sitting right, left, and right of you will be probably your best teachers because they're going to ask the same questions that you should have asked. They're going to be going down the same path as you. Just that camaraderie of going the same direction, it just infuses you with this, ignites you with this ability to go in that direction. Also, gives you a network of people who are going to get into that field. So that's another one. University is another one. Difference between university and community college is huge. University is way more expensive. They have bachelor's degree on up to PhD programs. If you have the option and time and resources to do it, university is also a great path for you from high school. You want to also do the same thing. Go to get a bachelor's degree. At very least, get a bachelor's degree if you're going to university, because you're going to be spending money. Get at least a bachelor's degree. And they've got some schools online like WGU that are not super expensive, that are catered to like more of an adult. But you want to go into some kind of computer-based background, IT, information systems, information technology, computer science. One of those. IT is what I would recommend, either IT or information systems, because that gives you time to figure out what you want to do, because there's many different paths of IT. You can do cloud, you can do database, you can do AI, you can do cybersecurity. There's not just one thing. There's many different paths. It's going to have the same effect. And one of the huge benefits of both community college and university is it's going to give you one more path that is not shut off to a lot of people who don't have this, which is apprenticeships and internships. So, and a working student. You can actually do working students to where you're getting the experience while you're getting your degree. So I just gave you 3 different paths right there. Another one would be start getting experience right now. Try to get experience as you're getting a certification. You could, in theory, work on, I've heard folks doing this. A couple people who follow me did this. They got a A+ certification, Security Plus, CompTIA Security Plus certification, and then on the side they were doing IT stuff. Either at the job they work at their school, at wherever, community, they had their own business doing it. They got experience as they were getting their certification, and then got local jobs doing IT stuff. You're building out your resume. You're building out your experience, which is super important. And you're using that as a stepping stone to go to the next level. So is it possible to come fresh out of high school and get into information technology? Yes. It is possible, but you're starting from the bottom. You know what I mean? So, but the thing is, everybody started from the bottom. I did. I went the military route. I'm working from home, making 6 figures, and I've been doing this for since I got out of the military in 2003. So, have I been making 6 figures that whole time? No. I started off from the bottom, just like everybody else. Let me see. Other questions here. Let me go over here to YouTube. I'm going to cut this short like in an hour, guys. Like I got about 20 minutes left. I got to go do my taxes, man. Got to go had an extension on my taxes. Now I got to get that shit done. Somebody said, unbelievable. I'm so surprised at the pay. I'm focused on gov tech and private sector. Yep. The money's out there. Somebody said, hi, Bruce. I have a CGRC and a Security Plus certification. Would accept a $75,000. Would accept $75,000 information technology job in government that requires 3 years of experience. Would I accept? Would I accept $75 an hour? Is that what you mean? I think I'm losing stuff in the translation. Let me just see if I can interpret what you're saying. You said you have a CGRC and a Security Plus certification. Would I accept $75? I don't. This is the part I'm confused about. $75 an hour as an information system security job in the government that requires 3 years experience. $75 an hour. Yes, I would accept that. But it depends. Like, is it travel? Am I working from home? I'd have to know more about the job. $75 an hour is pretty good. If you mean 75K a year, I personally wouldn't accept it. But if that's what, so I'm at a different level though. But if I had just just a cap, a CGRC, and a Security Plus, hell yes, I would have take that 75K. So I don't know where you're at with this question. Like, if you, Jermaine, if you're still watching me, please fill me in. Like, do you mean 75K a year? Because that would be good for starting off with a GRC and a Security Plus. Hell yes, I would take that. Get your experience, and then you can level up. 75K is not far. 75K a year. Oh, okay. Would you 70? Okay, yes, I would take it. And here's why. What happens when you hit 75K or something? Well, let me just tell you from my experience. All right, this is not for everybody, but when I hit 75K, it really changed everything. 75K is a magic number. Like, people are fixated on 100K, but 75 is where the magic really happens. Because it's a different. At 75, you're already making more than most people. I know that's hard to believe. People's minds is, I don't know. Like, you guys, people don't understand how much 100,000 is. They don't understand how much, but it's because where they live and everybody there makes 100,000, or it's because most people around them don't make it, or they do, or something. I don't know, but people's understanding 100,000 is like, it's just weird. It's not. 75 is good money in most places in the US, is what I'm trying to tell you. It's actually good money. And it's a great stepping stone. When I made 75, like, to be honest, I could have stayed at 75 and I would have been good. But I wanted to level up. And so 75 is actually very good money, especially if you only have a CGRC and a Security Plus and you have about 3 years of experience. It's a great start. And if that's not where you want to land, I understand, but that is an incredible start for you. Get your foot in the door making that 75, especially look at the title. The title says Information Security Specialist. Just the title alone, after only 6 months of holding that position, I would say you want to keep it for at least a year. But if after only 6 months for having that title right there is going to already put you in $100,000 bracket at another job when you transition. It's a huge stepping stone. Just the title alone is going to tell other people that, hey, this person has experience, and they held a position as an information security specialist. I'm on TikTok telling people to get a help desk job to do security stuff, to have a help desk title, and you're telling me that you're reluctant about taking a 75K a year job with a title of information security specialist? Yo, that's 100K in your next step. Your next step is 100K after that. I'll be very surprised if you can't make 100K after that. The magic 100K. But 75 is actually good money too. So that's just my 2 cents. All right, let me speed run through some of these TikTok questions here because I got quite a bit. You wouldn't stay at 75. Will you move up quickly? Yes. He's making a statement. You wouldn't stay at 75. You move. Yes, 75 is just, it's a fulcrum. Like, once you hit 75, I'm telling you, something magical happens. Something magical happens when you hit 75. because you're in this in-between stage where your next step can be 100. And if it's not 100, it's going to be like 90, 95. Like you're going to be a few thousand short of 100,000. 75 is a magic number, man. Like that's where the scales tipped for me. Like when I made 75, I didn't stay at 75 very long, put you that way. And it wasn't very long. Like it was within a couple years, boom, I was 100,000. Actually, I shot way above 100,000 shortly. I went 75, 95, 110, 140. And all of those were life-changing for me. Do you think cybersecurity is better than a software engineer? Yes. Let me read the whole question. Do I think that cybersecurity is better than software development? I'm trying to get into tech and I need advice. Cybersecurity is better than software development. I've never done software development, but here's why I think the cybersecurity is better. Cybersecurity is very, very specialized, and it's a huge umbrella. Not all of it's technical. You don't have to have software skills, software engineering or programming skills to be software to do cybersecurity. Cybersecurity has a whole range of technical skills and skill sets. So, for example, I do GRC. I'm technical, but I'm not hands-on. I'm not working with the systems. I'm not setting up systems. I'm not configuring systems. You know what I do? You want to know what I do? I talk to people who do that. I talk to the people who are actually implementing or fixing the systems. And I say, here's the vulnerabilities. How can we fix this? That's what we're doing. And I'm doing this on many different platforms on our system that we have. Many different, in a very large environment. And in my last job, I wrote policies. I was writing security policies. I have to know quite a bit about how enterprises work to do that, but I was writing security policies. Hell, it was already written. I just rewrote it for them. I'm like, oh, this is wrong. This is wrong. You probably fix this. You should probably integrate this with this. Boom. They were like, this is good. So that's security. That's also cybersecurity is what I'm trying to cybersecurity is better. There's not enough people doing it. It's in high demand with short supply. And that's why they're willing to pay us an average of something like 110. 110 is like the average across the US for an average cybersecurity, mid-level cybersecurity guy. It's specialized. There's steps, there's layers to this. You got to pay your dues to get to this point. It's very, it's not like you're going to just suddenly get a certification in Security Plus and then suddenly make 100,000. I'm not saying that, but it's just better. It's just way better than software engineering. Software engineers have to compete with all of India. I'm not trying. This is not stereotype. Indians, the Indian nation, Indians are they're cranking out so many software engineers, and they will take less and would do way more. They'll they'll take 90% less and do 100% more because in their country the cost of living is lower, so they'll do it from overseas. So you got way more competition with cybersecurity. Dude, nobody wants to do this job. Look how many people watching me. I got 5 people on YouTube. I got 18 people on freaking TikTok. People are sleeping on this field. I work from home. I make $100,000 on my job. I have other stuff that makes money. I don't know. Maybe you could do better as a software engineer. I don't know. Somebody said, I'm Indian and the outsourcing consulting firms are not on par with American software engineers. That might be true, sir. That might be true, but I'm just telling you. Let me give you an example. Years ago, I had an app. I'm not a good software engineer. I'm just not. Like, I taught myself, and it's very apparent that I taught myself. And I was writing my own app, right? I wrote a couple apps. And I taught myself like Swift or some I can't even remember what the name was, but Java and Swift. I had to write one for Android and one for iOS. And so I wrote it, right? And I put it out, and it sucked. Like, obviously the user interface wasn't good, like all these problems. Guess who I hired to make it better? I would love to hire an American, but they're going to cost me $10K. Would they be great? I'm sure this guy I'm going to hire for $10K is going to do a great job, but I don't got $10K to just throw around. So what I did was I went to Upwork and I found a dude who's a master. And this dude wrote it in what took me 3 months to do. He did it in like a week, 10 times better. And I paid him like, I don't know, it might have been $2,000. Indian dude, a badass MF. I think it was Pakistani, actually. He was a badass. He still messages me 10 years later saying, hey, man, do you want to write more code? I'm like, nah, I think I'm good, I'm just, as a business person, I'm going to go to, like if all these small jobs, you're going to go where you can get a cheaper price. That's just the nature of. So somebody said, you're absolutely right. The Indians have audited, specialized in software and earning less. I mean, I'm not trying to listen. In the conservative primary election, 25% of the people on the stage for the GOP party are Indians. Okay, I don't know if you noticed that. Indians are some bad-ass motherfuckers in the U.S. Period. Hands down. Can't be touched. They're I don't know what's going on, but they're just killing it. They're just killing it here. But I'm telling you, in the software field, it's just too much competition, and they're willing to take way less money. And it's just like, it kind of kills the, for the average software engineer. I'm sure that there's some badass software engineers that I would, let me just put it to you this way. Go into cybersecurity. You won't have this problem. Just go into cybersecurity. I don't have that kind of competition in cybersecurity. Nobody wants to do this for whatever reason. Indians are the highest paid demographic in our highest paid demographic. Our parents force us to make big money. Yeah, it's just different, man. Like, you guys are built different, man. My personal opinion about it is that the Indians that come here to the U.S. are on a different level. The ones that come here are just exceptionally badass human beings. Like, they're just built, they're built different, man. Because when I was in Kuwait, this is just an observation. I'm an ignorant savage. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Just keep that in mind. But when I was in Kuwait, there was a lot of Indians there, and I was surprised how many of them were poor. I was surprised how many of them weren't educated. I was surprised how many they were different. And I was shocked, because all the Indians here are no joke. From the time I was in high school all the way through till now, they're just a couple of my bosses have been Indians. First generation Indians come here and just annihilate. They're not fucking around at all. Caste system, bro. Yeah, I agree. It's for sure. That's real. That's real. Like, in Kuwait, like when I was in Kuwait, I was shocked. I was like, there's poor Indians? I'd never seen no shit like that in my life. They're no joke, man. And that's who you got to compete with software engineering. I'm just telling you the truth. Bruce, can we connect? I'm in my final year studying information security assurance. This is the best time to connect with me. I don't have a lot of time. I get people contacting me about mentorships and things like that. I have money. I just don't have a lot of time. And that's why I do these lives. I'm hoping, to connect with people this way, because any other time of the day, I just don't. When I stop this live, like, I got to go straight to do something else. And I don't I would love to do like a few days where I could just do more lives, but I just don't have time to do mentorships. I don't have time to, the best I can do is like answer people's emails and do a quick like advice based off of what they want to do. For a while I was trying to do mentorships and stuff. Right now I just don't have time to do it. I got a full-time job. I'm writing books. I got a business. Like I just don't have time. Somebody said prompt engineering give me your 2 cents. Prompt engineering is fire. It's fire. It's fire. So let me just show you a couple ways that I've been able to use prompt engineering that's already increased my my income by 25% at least. So number one, prompt engineering has helped me to write faster. I'm a pretty decent writer. I think that's why I've been able to do what I've been able to do, because I'm a pretty good writer. I can write policies, I can write procedures, I can write on stuff that I don't even know about. It's just because I know how to articulate. I know how to speak to people I know how to go to a person and speak at their level, right? I know how to do it. So it's the same thing with my books. What I'll do is I'll use prompt engineering to help me to write better. I'll write a paragraph and then I'll feed it to ChatGPT or whatever AI, and I'll say, hey, how can I write this better? Do you see any problems with this? And it'll come out with a whole bunch of stuff. Write it a little bit better, 20% better. I'll take that. It helps me write way faster, way faster. It'll find like errors. And if you think about it, people say, well, isn't that cheating? No. I mean, you use spell check, right? That's using AI. You use Grammarly, that's using AI. So what I'll do is I'll just ChatGPT is Grammarly and spell check on steroids. I'll write and put it in there, and I'll write way faster that way. Another thing I have done with prompt engineering is I'll use it to write policies, help me to write, like give me an idea of like how I would write X policy, and it'll give me a template. And I won't use it verbatim. I'll go through it and be like, nope, that's wrong. I'll change it up. Be like, okay. It helps me write way 100 times faster. Another thing I've used prompt engineering for is like Splunk. I don't really know Splunk. Splunk is a security. It's a security event and information manager, and it takes you got to write certain commands in order to get the right results out of it. And the current job I have, we use Splunk quite a bit. So what I'll do is I'll be like, oh, how do I search for anybody who's logged in after hours? And I don't know how to write that. So I'll just go to ChatGPT and say, I have Splunk. How do I write? What command do I use to see who logged in after 9 p.m.? And it'll tell me the command for it. And I'm like, okay, I'll type that same command into my system. I'm like, all right. So it's teaching me Splunk. It's teaching me how to use Splunk. So prompt engineering and AI is fire. It's not, I don't feel like it's at a point where it's going to replace authors or it's going to replace cybersecurity and IT guys and all that's hyperbolic. I don't believe that that's the case. It's just not that good yet. But I can see how it can eventually get that good. Eventually it will get that good. I'm sure if they keep on developing it, eventually it will get good enough to where I don't know it'll replace people, because thing is the needs and the requirements for an organization still come from humans. So you still have to, even if you're a software engineer, you still have to know a bit about software engineering. My kid is doing Python, and I said, hey, why don't you use ChatGPT to write this? And he brought up a good point. It's like, well, I still have to understand like what it's supposed to do. I was like, yeah, I can't argue with that. You know what I'm saying? So it's not going to fully replace, even if it was 10 times better than it is now. I don't know that's going to replace everyone, because there's still things that humans need to do. So that's my whole 2 cents on prompt engineering. Like prompt engineering, you should definitely do it, whether you're an IT person or not. Like you should definitely learn it, because I think that it's going to get integrated in all systems. I think it's going to get integrated in. I think it's going to be like a basic menu. It looks like it's really good at menu structure. super good at menu structure. So it looks like it's going to be a great menu structure for browsers. When I say menu structure, I mean it'll be a great interface. You'll be able to just talk to it and say, hey, turn the volume down. And it'll just turn the volume down. Like, you can't really do that with Cortana yet. I mean, I suppose you could, but it's kind of like clunky. I don't know if you've used Google's AI assistant yet, but it's kind of, it's like, but ChatGPT is no joke, man. Like, you can literally talk back and forth to it. It's crazy. It's I think they'll integrate it in operating systems, in browsers, in I think most information system security tools will have it. I think it's going to be integrated in every aspect of our life. Phones, every aspect. It'll be like a menu. This first generation of AI will be, that's what's happening right now, as a matter of fact. The next generation, where it's integrating videos and stuff, like, I don't even know what the hell that's gonna have to do. I have no idea, man. It can go deeper, but you need experience. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say right there. Great point, Warren. Let me see. It won't, because AI never be able to figure out ServiceNow. Why do people keep cracking on ServiceNow, man? You're not the first one to crack on ServiceNow. People freaking hate ServiceNow. It's not going to be able to figure out ServiceNow, huh? That's great. I like that joke. What do you do in cybersecurity? So in cybersecurity, I've done a number of jobs, from network engineering many years ago to help desk. My best skills are cybersecurity analyst work, which I haven't done in quite some time, but right now I'm doing GRC work, governance, risk, and compliance. Specifically for a government agency, I do information system security officer work. And my task from day to day is to figure out how we can maintain the current security posture of our network, of one part of the network, I should say. So what will happen is we'll have vulnerabilities. We got to make sure that those vulnerabilities are taken care of. We need a plan of action for things we can't fix. We need things will pop up, like some information system will pop up there where we're like, what is this system here? We got to figure out what it is. And it's a team effort. Like, I'm working with a bunch of system security help desk people. I'm working with network teams. I'm working with security operations center. I'm working with managers, some director level people. Like, I'll meet with them on a regular basis to figure out how we can plan out and strategize how to fix all the problems on one piece of the network, is what I do. It's a lot of meetings. It's a lot of figuring out, like, how can we fix something? Like, we'll have a problem, like, damn, it's saying here's how you fix it, but when we implement that doesn't work. So we got to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to fix that system. And it'll be on like 300 systems. So we got to fix it, but we got to figure out how. And if we can't, we got to do a document stating we're working on it, and here's what we're doing in the meantime. That's kind of what I do on a regular basis. That's a job of an information system security officer. It's writing stuff, it's doing meetings, it's managing vulnerabilities, or being integrated with the security operations team doing incident handling. It depends on what aspect of your job title you're doing with information security, but that's what I'm doing right now. Any experience with VAPT? No, that doesn't sound familiar. What is that? What's the acronym for that? VAPT. Your thoughts on people on TikTok making cybersecurity look easy? They don't mention school. It's a mixed bag. Some of the people that I see on there, they do mention school, and some of them say don't go to school. I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? I usually try to be more realistic. You can do it without school, right? I'm not suggesting that you cannot, but I'm saying the best course of action, if you have the time, money, and energy is to be an engineer, which requires you to go to school at some point in your life. And then another thing is, one thing that I don't like about the TikTok people and even the YouTube Shorts people is saying that you're just going to get some certification and you're going to make 100,000. That's just not true. You know, I think that people who say that have either not been in this field for very long, they don't remember what it was like when they first got in, or they don't realize who they're talking to. So some of them assume that everybody has 2 to 3 years of help desk experience, and they think that the people they're talking to are just going to be able to get a security plus and then automatically. They already have experience. They have 2 to 3 years of experience. So yeah, maybe. But a lot of people who talk to me are teachers, or they work in healthcare industry, or they're retail or something, or they're out of high school and they're saying, hey, how can I do cybersecurity? And I'm like, yo, you got to start off with the help desk first. Like, you probably should start there, and you should probably get some experience. That's really because if you're at a bank and you need a cybersecurity person, why would a bank hire a person who has just worked at Taco Bell, has no experience with IT, and doesn't know what they're doing, and doesn't even know what IT means? They're not going to hire a dude who doesn't know anything. They're just not. Okay, that may sound unfair, but think of it this way. Do you want to talk when you go to your bank and you're trying to pull out money? Do you want to talk to a teller who doesn't know how to count? No. Do you want to talk to a bank teller and you want to deposit 50? Let me be real. You want to deposit $5,000, and this person doesn't know how to deposit $5,000. They might deposit in the wrong place or something. Who knows, right? They don't know the basics. Cybersecurity is similar in that you're trusting people with a critical part of your infrastructure for banks, for hospitals, for retail. You're going to touch systems that are processing people's credit card information, or their social security numbers, or car registration. You got to be able to trust the people who you're working with. And so that's why experience is important. You got to have some skin in the game. I'm not saying it's impossible to do it. I'm saying realistically, if you're coming from another field, if you're coming straight out of high school, even if you're in college, you need to get experience under your belt. Is all I'm saying. You're probably right out of college. You're probably not going to get a title as a cybersecurity person. What you can do is get a help desk job and do security stuff to put on your resume, so you can eventually get a cybersecurity title. And eventually you can make 6 figures. And 6 figures should not be your goal. Like, your goal should be security. Like, financial security should be your goal, not 6 figures from some corporation. Because 6 figures isn't even what you think it is, to be honest with you. Somebody said advice for transitioning from accounting to cyber. How much IT do you have? How much IT? Do you have any IT knowledge at all? Do you build your own computers? Do you? And I'm not being facetious. This is a real question. Some people get pissed off when I ask them this question. It's like, I just told you I don't have any experience. No. Listen, you might have some. That's why I'm asking you. So, do you have any experience are you a gamer? Do you build your own computers? Do you have you ever done audits before, like audits on a computer? Have you ever done any kind of audit? Do you fix your own virus? Have you ever gotten a virus and you fixed it yourself? Do you have any kind of, do you set up your own network? How much actual hands-on experience do you have? Depending on what you say, I'm going to tell you where to start. Let's say you have zero experience. You're a computer dummy. You don't know. So the number one, pump your brakes. You might not want to do this field. You might not want to do this. It's not for everybody. So what I would advise you to do, if you see that 6 figure, so what's happened is people see the 6 figures and they see that we're in this recession and cybersecurity people are eating, and they're like, I want to eat. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. Everybody's rushing from other fields to this one because it's secure, and they're in demand, but they're in demand for the right people. So listen, if you have zero experience and you're coming from accounting, you're coming from retail, you're coming from banking, you're coming from wherever, you don't have no experience whatsoever with this, the first thing you need to do is get to know the common body of knowledge in IT, information technology. All right. The reason why I'm starting there and not saying go straight to cybersecurity is because cybersecurity is based off of information technology. If you know basic foundations of information technology, it's going to help you out tremendously. And you might not even want to do this. Going back to that, you might get a week into this and be like, this is not for me. So that's why I say start off with the common body of knowledge. Start off, don't spend no money. Don't buy no books. Don't buy nothing. Okay. Start off, go to YouTube and type in information technology job, IT job. What is it like being a help desk person? Type that in. What is it like being a help desk person? Type that in. Watch those videos. Watch people. There's a couple of tech guys who talk about it. That's their whole channels is talking about doing IT and being help desk and what they have to deal with and all that kind of stuff. Watch those guys. Watch a few of their videos. You might not even want to do this job. Number one. Okay. Now, if you watch a couple videos and you're like, damn, this would be something, I think I could do this. The next step is to start learning the terminology and learning about actual IT, information technology. There's a couple things you can do from here. There's a bunch of stuff on Udemy where you could start off learning information technology and learning the common body of knowledge. I would highly recommend CompTIA A+ is a great way for an introductory course in learning what you need to know for this. A lot of people are some of the gurus are going to watch this and be like, laugh at me because I'm talking about CompTIA A+. But if you are a beginner at this, you're starting in a few months at WGU. Awesome. That's great. That's a great start. That's where you want to start. If you have the time, money, and energy to do it, go to college. You're about to become an engineer. What engineer do you know that didn't go to college? How many do you know? There's not many. There's some. Been studying CompTIA on my own. Awesome. You're on the right path. That's exactly what I'm about to tell you to do. So listen, you need to know, just like in your job as an accountant, would you go to an accountant that don't know what the hell they're doing? No, you wouldn't. They don't know the basics. They don't know basic things you're supposed to know as an accountant. No, you wouldn't go to that person. Same thing with cybersecurity. You got to start off from the bottom, which is learning the basics, the common body of knowledge. It's in CompTIA. CompTIA A+ is a great way to start. If you know nothing, it was my first certification. It's one of my first certifications, and I took it, and there were acronyms I didn't know. There were basic concepts I didn't understand. I walked away from it after I took the whole thing. I studied on my own, self-study, went through CompTIA A+. After I did it, I understood the landscape of what IT was. I got a bird's eye view of what it was and where I wanted to go. You start to understand. After CompTIA A+, I was like, I want to do network stuff. I want to network stuff like really captivated me. I was fast. It blew my mind. It was like magic to me. I was like, damn, that's dope. And I just start going down the network engineering path. I started learning more about network. I went to Network Plus, and then I got CCNA, and then I had a job title as a network engineer. I was doing network engineering stuff. I was fixing networks, putting networks together, all kinds of stuff. But then I started to realize that my real talent was in security. It was just, I just knew I'd done, what it was, is that I was a physical security guy for 5 years. Before I did that, I was in the Air Force. I was like a MP, for lack of a better, it's called Security Forces, but it's MP, military police. And I did that for like 5 years, and I had a very solid understanding of it. And some of that stuff translated directly into cybersecurity. As a matter of fact, some of the stuff you even do, there's a little bit of overlap between the two anyway. So I had a talent for it. I just came easily for me. And I started doing what was at the time, it was called certification and accreditation, and started writing policies and stuff. And I'm a good writer. So it just was like magic. I just knew how to do it. What I'm trying to do is to tell you to start from the bottom. So number one, if you're starting from the bottom, you're coming from a whole nother field, you need to learn the basics. The basics is information technology. You can do that. You can do this with Google IT certifications. It has something called Google IT support, I think it's called. That certification will give you the basics of what you need to know. But I always recommend people do CompTIA A+ because it's more marketable than Google, because Google certification just came out. And from my understanding, it's more marketable. If you actually go to Indeed and type it in, it's not even it's not even close. There's way more people looking for CompTIA A+. So that's why I encourage people to do this, because you can learn it and then get the certification and then use the certification to get a job. And you're going the next step, which I would recommend, which if you have the time, money, and energy to do it, is to go to college. Go to college. The reason why I say go to college, number one, if you're serious about a long-term career in this, you want to become an engineer, right? You're going to be an engineer. That's what you're about to be. Engineers, what they do is they integrate multiple complex systems together and to figure out why they're broken, how we maintain it, how we fix it, how we can make it better. That's what engineers do at every stage. Like whether you're an electrical engineer or a mechanical engineer, they're taking all of these different concepts and putting them together. Same thing with computers. That's what you're about to be. So aim big, aim high. No pun intended, Air Force. And look for becoming an engineer. Go to school, go get a bachelor's at the very least. Okay. And get that in. You can do it really in STEM. That's science, technology, engineering, mathematics. But I would highly recommend you do something in computers, information technology, information systems, computer science, something with database, whatever, anything with computers, if that's the path you're going to go. So what school isn't an option? Don't go to any schools that are not accredited. Don't go to any schools that are not accredited. You can go to community college. You can go to universities, state universities, Ivy League, whatever, but just don't go to any school that's not accredited, because those credits are not going to translate to another school. Vocational schools are good if you're going to walk out with a certification. Just my 2 cents. Like if you're going to a vocational school, they're going to give you a lot of hands-on experience, which is great. But you want to walk away with that piece of paper, like a Security Plus or A+ or CCNA or something. Like walk away with a document in your hand, So yeah, go to school, aim for becoming an engineer, a bachelor's degree. I would say I recommend. But if you get an associate's, that's fine. And then you want to do the certification paths. Security Plus if you want to go the security route. If you want to do the cloud route, you do AWS, cloud practitioner. If you wanted to become a network engineer, you got to choose a vendor. Cisco's the best. Do CCNA. So there's different paths for each one of these. This is a huge field. The more you learn, the more you realize how huge this field is. Even just cybersecurity alone is a gigantic field. Gigantic field. Let me just give you an example. I make 6 figures working from home. I don't know how to code to save my life. And any job I've done hasn't required me to do code. Why? Because I'm in a whole different part of cybersecurity that I don't have to hack anything. I don't have to know code. None of that. I'm a GRC guy. I do security compliance. So there's so many different areas. When you first start off in this, you'll know right away if you're coming from another field whether you want to do this or not, because this is not for everybody. What my brother-in-law, one of my in-laws, he contacted me. He's like, "Hey man, I'm going from being a avionics guy in the Air Force, and I want to go into cybersecurity." I said, "Hell yeah, man! Here's how you do it. Everything I'm telling you guys, I broke it all down to him. Say, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. How a whole email, how to do step 1 through 5, and broke it all down. Gave him a free book, everything. This motherfucker did not read the book, did not go to my site to get a free course, did not do none of that. Changed his mind, went to a whole nother field. It's not for everybody. This takes a lot of patience, and it takes time and effort. And people think they see cybersecurity, they see 6 figures, and that's all they see. And they shiny, flashy object makes them go somewhere else. It's not for everybody. What age did you start going into cybersecurity? What age did you start going into cybersecurity? I started when I was in my 20s because I was in the Air Force. I went into the Air Force as a kid. I was in there for 8 years. And I was 20, 25, 27, something, 26, something like that. Because when I first went in, I was like 20 years old in the military. And then I was like 27. I was almost 30 when I started, actually. When I started in actual computers, I was almost 30. Yeah, that's right. Because I was in the Air Force I was 20 years old when I came in the Air Force. I did cybersecurity I did physical security for 5 years. And then I transitioned into computers. So I was about 25. Yeah, 25, 26, 27. And I got out late 20s. Okay, yeah. So somebody said, "How you doing, Bruce?" I'm doing all right, my man. Would you recommend doing help desk to system admin than cyber? Yeah, that's a great path. That's a great path. Help desk is going to give you the hands-on customer service understanding of the whole field in general. And then from there, if you want to specialize in system admin, that's going to give you the server experience, the server background, and teach you a whole different thing about the back end of all these different systems. And by the time you hit cyber, man, you're going to be, what I found is doing the path that you just talked about, where I was in help desk and then I specialized in the network engineering. And then by the time I put my hands on doing cybersecurity, I have this really good understanding of each part. Like I could talk to a server guy, I could talk to a help desk guy, and when they tell me their problems, I'm like, oh, I kind of have an understanding of where they're coming from. And I have some idea of how long things take to fix. So unlike some of my counterparts who have no experience, have very little experience, there's a bunch of policy wonks, policy guys that get in this field that have no technical background. I've met a few of them. They have no technical background. I have no idea how they got in this field. I know they got a degree. They never touched a computer. They went straight into GRC because they had a master's degree or whatever. And all they know is they never touched a computer, but they have all the degrees and all this kind of stuff. And they touch the computer a little bit, but they don't have like hands-on years of experience in help desk or system admin. The difference between me and them is that as a system security person, when problems happen, I understand what the admins are talking about. When they tell me, hey, this server is not working, we can't restart the service that's on the system, and then they show me, I'll be like, oh, okay. I'm probably not going to be able to fix that thing right then and there, but I'm with them. I understand what's going on. So I'll be able to quickly pivot and then explain that to managers, whereas some of the policy guys who have no background in technical, they have very little or no background, they won't know how to articulate what's happened technically, but I can. So if you have that background as a GRC person, it's really powerful. And maybe you don't even want to do GRC person. That's another thing. If you have help desk and then you want the system admin, maybe you want to be a pen tester, that's really good experience for you, because you know what happens on the help desk on the endpoint devices. Then you know what is happening on the server side. You know all the security features of each, and you know vulnerabilities. By the time you're doing pen testing, you know how to infiltrate. You know how to get into some of the endpoint devices and some of the weaknesses there versus the weaknesses on servers. So that experience that you get, that hands-on, is so valuable to cybersecurity. Which one of these paths offer the most job opportunities for a beginner? Forensics, AI, or system admin? Those are so okay. Let me just put my 2 cents in it. For a beginner, none of these are beginner courses. Forensics is not a beginner course. AI depends on what you're doing. I mean, if you're doing machine learning or programming for AI, and that's not a beginner course. And then system admins usually come with at least 3 years of experience. So none of those are beginner opportunities, if that makes any sense. What can I say about this? Where can you go from, if you're trying to tell me like which one should you go to? I think that's your question. Which one has the best opportunities? It depends on what you're doing on each. Because forensics, digital forensics is a very specific path. So I would probably put that one aside. That's very, very specific. It's very narrow, but there are opportunities for it. And I would say probably if you're going for forensics, a better aim for you with a larger target would be cybersecurity analyst, because that includes forensics. It's a broader, forensics is very, very specific. So I'll put that one away. And AI, I really don't know enough about AI to tell you anything about it. Because I do know that there's machine learning, which has programmers, has engineers, it's a whole field. AI is a huge, huge field. So I really can't speak on AI stuff. It's just, I do know that saying AI is like the same as saying IT. It's huge. You got neural networks, you got machine learning, you got the dudes who code it, you got the guys who network the systems together, all that. So it's a very, very big field. You have to be more specific. And even then, I'm not qualified to speak on AI in general. System admin, I say all out of the three, the only one I know about would be system admin, haven't done that before, and in forensics, cybersecurity analyst work. System admin is going to have way more, is also a very, very broad field. So, because what are you going to be a system admin in? Are you going to be a system admin for servers? Is it going to be for workstations on a large environment? Are you a system admin for firewalls? Are you a system? You see what I'm saying? System admin is a very broad term. So that's I can't answer the question. That's a very long-winded way to say I can't answer the question. Let me see. What's your thoughts on going cyber in the Air Force to get experience? Put a security clearance? Experience, put a security clearance. Okay, I think I know what your question is. Plus a security clearance. Okay, my bad. Plus a security clearance. I would say, Trey, so if you're going to go into the military, just understand that your obligation is to them. So when you go on, I know it's going to sound fucked up, but if you go into the military, they kind of own you. They can send you wherever they want, and your government issue, that's what GI means. And they can send you where, that means you can get sent to war zones, and that's something you have to sign. You're literally going to sign a piece of paper, and you're signing your life away for X amount of years. You're on a contract. They own your ass for that many years, 4 years, whatever it is, right? So I'm just going to tell you the cons first, and then let's just get that out the way. They own your ass, right? If you're okay with that, cool. You might be sent to a war zone and get killed. If you're okay with that, cool. There's going to be some dumbass presidents who are in office who you're going to work for, and you're not going to be able to say shit about it. And wherever they say to go, you're going to go. And it's not a matter of whether you agree with the politics of it or not. It's your duty to serve. Okay. Now that we've gotten all that out of the way, what I would say is it's awesome. That's what was my come up, was the military. I'm just being real with you. I'm just being real. Like, I was sent to 3 war zones. I could have been killed in any one of those times. Maybe that won't happen to you. Some people go in for 4 years, don't have any, they don't get sent to a war zone. They don't see combat. They don't see none of that. Right. So they just go in, they work in supply for 4 years, and then they get out and they didn't see any of that stuff happen. I got sent to freaking Kosovo. I got sent to Afghanistan. I got sent to freaking Saudi Arabia, all kinds of stuff. So that could be you. And if you understand that, then by all means go in. Like, listen, I was able to go from having a GED, being a high school job dropout, to getting 3 degrees, and several certifications, and 4+ years of experience in information technology, including I learned network engineering. I learned like how to build them from scratch on a classified and an unclassified network. I learned firewalls. I learned risk management framework. I learned a lot of leadership skills. I learned how to communicate better. I learned a lot of valuable skills that nobody can ever take away from me, right? That have now make it so I could take care of my kids, and no matter what happens in my life, I'm good because of my skill set. But man, I had to pay some dues to get here. And so what I would say is, if you're gonna do it, don't do it for one reason. Don't do it just for one reason. Do it for multiple reasons. Do because you're gonna be faced with some life. You could be, not maybe you won't be. I hope you won't, God willing. But you could be faced with some situations where you have to think about things. You got to think about your life. So if you're going to go on for more than one reason, don't just go in for just getting the cybersecurity experience. Go in for a degree. Go in to travel the world. Go in to learn more about yourself, to learn more about other cultures. Go in for multiple reasons. That way, when you go in and you serving some dumbass president who's going to send you to some stupid location that you don't even agree with, that they don't even want you there, and you're there, you have your reasons are beyond just one thing. That's what I did, and it worked out for me. I just give you an example. Like I was sent to Afghanistan. I had a kid who wasn't even 1 yet, and she was about to start walking. I missed my kid's first words. I missed my kids walking for the first time. All because why? I was in freaking Afghanistan, why the hell were we there? Like, I don't want to get into politics, but we were there, did a bunch of crap, and then they yanked everybody out. What did we get out of it? Nothing. Like, I don't want to get into politics, but when you think about it, it's pretty stupid. It's pretty dumb. And you're not always going to, my point is, you're not always going to agree with what the U.S. government does or does not do. The oil, right? Whatever. Who knows? Who cares? Who knows? Does it affect me? No, I just want to take care of my kids and my family. At the end of the day, when you're over there in a war zone, all you want to do is protect your own ass, so you can get home to your kids and the person who's next to you, and that's it. That's what you got to focus on. Like, why am I here? Your why is going to become an ever-present question in your mind. In some of these, you're going to be in a position where you're like, damn, what am I doing this for? And sometimes, you need those questions in life. And the military is one that might give it to you. Air Force cross-training to cyber. Would you say your experience with the Air Force helped your transition? Yes. So I cross-trained from being an MP. I was a security forces person for about 5 years, and I transitioned to a computer operator at the time. Now it's called something else, but it was a huge help for me. I learned so much, and I'm only just now realizing how much. When I got out of the military, I realized how much I learned, because I knew so much more than most people. Like, if they weren't military, and to this day, it's the same thing. I realized how much more I know than them, because they open their mouth, and I'm like, I'm surprised. I'm like, damn, you didn't know that? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to rub it in or nothing, but I'm just saying the military taught me so much. Like, I had hands-on experience working with multi-million-dollar systems that these people who didn't go in the military don't have. My skills are so much better than theirs. Like, I have hands-on experience that they never had. And I've noticed all the other vets have the same level of expertise as head and shoulders above our civilian counterparts. So Was it worth it, man? When I think back to it, man, I don't know that I would have been able to take care of my kids had I not made that sacrifice. The sacrifice was great. I can't, the losses, you know, as a man, you got to make these crazy, not just a man, like as a human being, with when you have kids, like there's certain sacrifices that you have to make when you're taking care of someone else that nobody is going to understand it. You know, nobody's going to understand the decisions that you had to make that affects their life in a way that you can never get back. I can never get back the time I lost with my kids having with these sacrifices. I can never get that time back, you know. And the sacrifices I had to make for myself had to do it. Survival, man. And sometimes you gotta, as an adult, you have to make those same choices. And so if you go into the military, don't go in lightly. Is basically what I'm saying. Don't go in for just money. Go in for something greater. I went in to take care of to survive, and then later on, I stayed in to take care of my kids. So, don't take it lightly, because they're going to take a lot from you. But in return, if you use the system effectively, a lot will be given to you. Don't go in and waste it. If you go in with guns blazing. They help you out quite a bit. To answer your question, I went off on a tangent, went back to the war shit. But yeah, they helped me out a lot, man. It was a huge help for me when I got out of the military. I was able to put so much stuff on my resume that I'm so far ahead of most people, and I'm still way ahead career-wise than a lot of people, like in skill set. Not just technical, like leadership qualities. Like sometimes people don't know how to deal with each other, man. But military, I had to deal with people who hated my guts. Like I had to work with racists, like people who were they never seen a black person before. And I had to work with these fucking racists who they would tell me flat out how they thought. They didn't even know any better. They were just ignorant. I was so surprised. I'm like, these people come from a whole different mindset, right? It's surprising to see people with that who are stuck in the 1800s. They don't even know. They don't even know they're stuck in a box. And I have to work with these people. And it taught me to communicate with people, no matter what. If there's a mission in front of us that we got to do, you got to put your feelings aside and get shit done. And it taught me to do that. And to this day, I work with people like that, and who have all kinds of opinions about all kinds of things. And I got to put that aside and get shit done. And at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. We have a mission, we have a business, we're getting paid, and that's it. I'm not supposed to be their friend. I'm supposed to get something done. And that's probably one of the best skills I have. Like, I could work with anybody. I don't care what they think about me. I don't care. I just want to get the job done. And that skill right there, because as a black person, we have a lot of trauma. You know, there's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of shit that hasn't been dealt with. And even to talk about it, people are like, oh God, I don't want to. This thing will drop to zero if we start talking about that shit. You know what I mean? It's like nobody wants to talk about that shit. But we have a lot of trauma. Military taught me to put that shit aside and get stuff done. And here's the magic. When I got out of the military, I could still use those same skills to do the same thing. Put that shit aside and create a business. It's not one person that's going to deal with these problems we have as a country or as a race of people or community or whatever, right? It's not one person. It's all of us that have to do it. And we're like little kids. Human beings are like little kids. Emotionally, we're like little kids. We're very intelligent, but we're like primates with fucking nuclear weapons. Like we're like little kids. We're children. And when you put all the BS and bullshit and stuff aside and get stuff done, you start to realize how petty our differences are. They're pretty petty. When you really think about it, it's pretty petty. On a day-to-day basis, if you look at history, it's not petty. It's not so petty historically. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to, but anyway, what it taught me to do is to communicate with people and put all the BS aside and get stuff done no matter what. And that's the greatest skill that the military will give you. How's the current market to break into cybersecurity space? I've been doing PM work for 8 years. I get a lot of project or program managers that contact me. And what I would say is you might, with 8 years of program management experience, you might be able to level up like in a way that's, that's greater than cybersecurity. Do you have a PMP? I hope you're still watching me. Habibi Fit. If you're still watching me, if you happen to be anybody who happens to be a project manager or you're a PM, listen. You should use your experience to level up in program management. That's what I would do if I were you. I will answer your question in a second, but let me just give you an alternative. Get a PMP if you don't already have one. Become a Scrum Master and apply for a shitload of jobs. And I think that you can make as much or more in your current position doing project management stuff. On the side, start learning cybersecurity. Now to answer your question, you said, what's the current, how do you break into cybersecurity space? Learn the basics of information technology. And this is why I say it's probably best for you to stay where you're at, because you're in the project managers can make much more than, a cybersecurity person. Facts. Look it up. Google it. I'm telling you. Well, 8 years experience, project manager, PMP, 8 years experience. See what you see. You'll see about $140,000, $130,000 jobs. Cybersecurity, the average is around 100,000 or whatever, right? But with 8 years of background, you could make more. So as a cybersecurity person, there is a lot of space. There's people there. We're looking for people all the time, but we're looking for people with cybersecurity experience or with at least IT experience. So that said, you've got to build yourself up. You got to know the common body of knowledge for IT. What I would recommend you do, get your PMP, get your Scrum Master, make that $130,000, $140,000, $150,000 with your 8 years of experience. Be doing cybersecurity on the side in the background while you're collecting your $130,000, $140,000. Because you're gonna have to learn basic information technology. I would go to school, like you have enough money, go to school to become an information technology degree, a master's or bachelor's in information technology. That's going to take you about 4 years. Three if you're fast. You could do information technology, information systems, computer science, get a degree in that. Take your time because you're going to be making like $140,000 anyway. And then when you get that, start applying for jobs in cybersecurity. They've got jobs. I've been approached for doing project management jobs as a cybersecurity person. Project managers are in demand, especially if you know information technology. So there's some overlap between the two because information security, essentially, sometimes I'm doing project management stuff. I'm not hands-on. I'm managing other people to do the work. So that's what I would have you do. Like, is there a lot of space to answer your question? Absolutely, there is. But they're looking for people who know information technology. So I would say start there, learn information technology, and then start building up from there. So that's my 2 cents on that one. Let me see. People got some more questions and comments and stuff. I aced the test, but my dad from the Air Force won't let me go in because I have to stop my meds. Well, when you turn 18, it's going to be your choice. Okay. Let me see. I got some other questions here on YouTube. And got a couple more. Man, it's already 2 hours. I can get off this damn thing. Let me see. Somebody said, how should I make sure that my resume has enough buzzwords? I use ChatGPT to align my resume to a post. Awesome. Great idea. Somebody said that they basically you can feed this is crazy. You could go into ChatGPT, put in the job you want, and then put in your resume and have it line up your resume with that, and it'll do it. So that's a little trick that this person's talking about. Anyway, they align their resume with the posting, and put, but Teal and LinkedIn Resume AI always give me way different percentages. Okay. When I compare the numbers of buzzwords, I just earned my master's in healthcare informatics. Okay. And I'm trying to transition to GRC, coming from the Medicare industry after 15 years with the same company. Have you heard of this certification called, one thing you can do is, what I would do if I were you, is ISC2 squared has this, you might have heard of this before, but they have this healthcare certification. That's exactly what you're trying to do. It's called the HCISP. Let me show you what that looks like here. I hope you're still with me, because this is, if you don't know about this, this is about to blow your mind. So here it is right here, and it's a healthcare security certification. And it is specifically, well, let me read some of the domains. So healthcare industry is going to tell you about that. You already have that in the bag because you've been doing that for years. You could probably take this test cold with your background and pass it. And this is becoming a very highly sought after certification because it's from ISC2 squared. So the next domain is information governance in healthcare. You probably know about that because you've been in the healthcare industry for some time. I don't. I haven't been in the healthcare industry. I've worked for healthcare industry organizations, but I've not been in it. So you actually know more than me about this. Information technology in healthcare, regulatory and standards environment. That's HIPAA right there, right? Privacy and security health. Yeah, that's HIPAA right there. Risk management and risk assessments. Third party. These are the domains for this. This is GRC for healthcare industry. You might want to take the certification. I would look into this right now. If you have this, I'd be very surprised if you're not making 6 figures already. You said, I am, thank you, and I'll check it out. Yeah, this right here is right up your alley, this certification. And it's in pretty good demand. I mean, the ISC2 squared is really good at marketing their certification. That's one of my favorite things about them, is that unlike some other certifications, like the Google certifications, these guys really market their self. Not saying that Google certifications are bad. You know, they're great. I think it's great that other organizations are doing this. But ISC2 squared, this is all they do is market their certification. And this one is GRC for exactly what you do, healthcare. So I would definitely look into this certification. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is a professional level certification. This certification is no joke. So you might want to look into this one. Look into that. Hope that answers your question. But your question, that's not your question. Okay, let me see if I can. Okay, you said I just earned my master's degree in health informatics. Oh man, you aced this certification. And then you said I'm trying to transition to GRC after 15. Yeah, I would take the certification. The buzzwords you got, right? You've been in this field for a while. You got that. Get this certification, see what happens. That's what I would do. That would be my advice. I'm interested in changing lanes from a highly technical security engineer to GRC and RMF. Is there a risk to being viewed as over credentialed for an ISO role when applying for vacancies? Mike, This is actually a very good question. So Mike's question is, can you be overly qualified? I would say what you want to do, what I would highly recommend you do is if you're trying to do GRC, focus. This is what I do. I've got a whole bunch of certifications and all this education stuff. I don't put stuff that's irrelevant on there. I don't put anything from my physical security. Obviously, no physical security. I got all kind of physical security stuff on there. It's not useful for what I'm trying to do with GRC. And then I got technical certs. I've got, if I'm applying for a GRC position, I know that they don't care about my Oracle certification. They don't, I leave it off of there. It's not gonna, from my resume, I mean, I don't put that on my resume. I don't put Oracle on my resume because I know that that's not going to help me get this job. So I'll typically, what I used to do is have two different resumes. I have one resume that focused on technical stuff because I used to do cybersecurity, cybersecurity analyst work, which is a whole different field. And so I would make a resume that highlighted all my technical forensics type background, incident response, Oracle, my DBA experience, all that stuff would be on the top of each one of my bullet statements, that kind of stuff, because I knew that they were looking for that kind of stuff. MITRE, attack framework, all that kinds of stuff, like Nmap, like how I know that. I would put that kind of stuff. Splunk, all that would be on top. And then when I was doing GRC stuff, I would focus on, I know that they want to see NIST 800, NIST risk management framework. They want to see cybersecurity framework. They want to know that I'm familiar with cybersecurity framework and I've worked with that before. They want to see that I've written security policies before. I've modified them or helped with or reviewed cybersecurity policies. I've done security plans before. I've worked with, you might want to put things like EMAS on there. If you've ever worked with Archer, GRC, if you worked with Exacta, those are the kinds of things. The other side doesn't care that I worked with EMAS or Exacta or any of that. They don't care that I worked with that. So those are I keep saying certifications. What I mean is resume. Those are two different resumes that I would focus and highlight. I wasn't lying. I would just highlight one. I would have certain certifications that I would put first and highlight certain things on this resume that I wouldn't highlight on this, because I know that the GRC people, the information system security officer people, do not care that I have an Oracle certification. They don't care that I know how to, I don't know, write a script in no regular expression. They don't care about that. They don't even know what that is. So I would do, what you can do is do two different resumes and strip them down, make them highly focused on the things that the GRC people want. So I don't think you could be overly qualified, but what you can do is make it so that it's targeted for that market you're looking for. That's what you want to do. The qualifications are great. More credentials you have, that's awesome. But make it targeted for that particular job. Okay. Good day, Bruce. Do you have a course on CSAM? No, I don't. Next question. Hey, Bruce, I'm going to the military soon. I have passed my ASVAB. I'm going to the Air Force. What's your AFSC? What are you doing in the Air Force? Let me see if there's any other. I don't know what's going on with TikTok, but I can't search through people's. Okay, I'm at the bottom. That's why. Old man-itis. That's what's happening with me. Let me see here. Answer a couple more questions, and I'm gonna bounce. I'm into management. Any good certifications? Yes. So for cybersecurity, good management certifications are going to be, CISSP, CASP, CISM is probably the top specific for management. But those are three good ones that managers that I've had my bosses, my supervisors would have on their resume. They're all kind of general information security certifications. They don't really focus on any one thing. They're very difficult. I mean, the only one I've taken was CISP. I haven't taken CASP. I heard it was hard. CISM, I believe, is a professional level cert. I don't know how hard that is, but all of those kinds of certs are normally what I see my managers have. My managers, my immediate supervisors, people that are here, they're telling me what to do or guiding me. Those guys have those certifications. Hope that helps. Don't you need 5 years of experience and a referral to get the CISSP? Yep. Yes, you do. I think there's ways around it, but that's what, yeah. Let me see. I'm in customer service currently. I'm looking into moving into tech. I have no experience. Where do I start? Customer service. What kind of customer service do you do? I'm assuming that the customer service you do does not have any IT background or experience. Because the reason why I ask is because some customer service jobs, you're walking people through how to fix their computer. You're walking through how to fix their router or whatever, right? So those are things you can use on your resume. That's why I ask about it. But I'm assuming customer service, like you work for a bank customer service or something like that, and you're walking people through how to open their accounts or something. It had nothing to do with IT. Assuming that's the case, you do our customer service is great because you have some experience with talking, communicating with people. But now what you want to do is learn the basics of information technology. And what I would recommend you do, if you really have no technical background experience at all, is first of all, look into it. Don't spend anything before you do that. Don't go to Udemy and buy a course. Don't buy my book. Don't buy another person's book. Start off with YouTube. Start off with YouTube and look into help desk. The keyword that you want to look at on YouTube or Google is type in experience as a help desk person, right? Just like that, something like that, to where you're looking at, you want to see through the eyes of a help desk person just to see if you want to do this. You might not want to do this, so before you spend any money, before you do anything, go to YouTube, type in my life as a help desk person. Watch videos. Watch videos from the perspective of people who are help desk people. And the reason why I say help desk in particular, because that's an entry level job. That's more than likely going to be where you're going to start. Look at what they do. And if you know any nerds or geeks or people who are fixing the phones at your office, or they're walking around fixing the IT, talk to the local IT guys. Talk to them. That's free. Do free stuff first. Go talk to a dude for free, or the local IT person for free, and sit down with them and say, hey, I'm thinking about going into IT. Like, what do you recommend I do? And listen to what they have to say. I'm telling you this because this is what I did. Don't spend no money at first. Figure out if you want to do this. Start reading up on it. Go to ChatGPT and type in what's work like as a help desk person. Go to Google and type in what's work like as a help desk person. This is an entry level position, and it's going to give you an idea of if this is what you want to do. If you went through that and you know this is what you want to do, or you have a cousin that's doing it and they're making money, and like, damn, that's what I want to do already. Okay, next step is to start learning the common body of knowledge for an information technology person. And there's a couple places you can learn this. There's a couple entry-level certifications that help you to get the common body of knowledge. I'm not telling you to get it just for the sake of you can get a certification and make $100,000 out the box. I'm telling you to do it so that you can learn. This is what I did. I took the CompTIA A+ certification, and I used that common body of knowledge to understand the landscape of information technology. And the reason why I say information technology and not like cybersecurity or software engineering, because you got to start off with the basics, and that's the basics of all computer science, the basics of all cybersecurity and all programming and all that stuff is information technology. So common body of knowledge A+ certification, but there's other ones you can take, such as Google's IT support. There's some courses on Udemy you could take. The reason why I say CompTIA A+ is because after you learn all that common body of knowledge, you take the certification. It's actually a marketable certification, so you can actually use it to get a job after you learn some stuff. If you have the resources, time, and money to do it, I would highly recommend you go to college for information technology, information systems, or computer science. One of those. There's really good courses at WGU. The tuition's is not super high. Don't go to a boot camp. I do not recommend boot camps. I think you should go to college instead of spending $9,000 on a boot camp or whatever it is right now these days. You're about to become an engineer. Set your goal high. You're going to be a scientist. You're going to be an engineer in information technology. You got to change your whole mindset to get to this point. That's where you should be aiming yourself for. An engineer, a scientist. That's what you're about to do. So college, if you have the means to do it, do it. Don't listen to all this stuff saying, "Oh, don't go to college. You don't have to spend money on going." You're about to become an engineer. How many engineers do you know didn't go have any school? There's some, don't get it twisted. There's some, right? They're prodigies. They're at 5 years old, they were playing piano, and then they read a book once and remember every page. Like that's 0.00001% of the population. I've met people like that. They're weird. They're very, very weird. They're crazy, weird, scary smart. I've met them before, and most people are not them. If you're a normal human being, you're not Professor X, you're not a freaking mutant, then I'm telling you, this is the way you do it. Go and start with the basics. Start from a CompTIA A+, learn the common body of knowledge, and then start building from there. From there, you're going to want to get some experience. College is what I highly, highly recommend. You can start a community college. You can do WGU. You can do any of those things to become an engineer, get a bachelor's degree, whatever, and then start learning that path. From there, you're gonna figure out which way you want to go, because you're going to get exposed to different aspects of information technology. You're going to get exposed to network engineering, which is putting networks together. You're going to get exposed to software engineering. You might want to do that. Maybe that's will be fascinating for you. You want to do database administrators. There's software. There's cybersecurity people. Then cybersecurity has a whole bunch of fields. If you go to college, you'll get exposure to all these different avenues. So you'll get this full range of what you want to do and which direction you want to go. That's what I would recommend you do. If you're starting from zero, that's what you should do. It's not going to be, you can get a Security Plus and then suddenly get 100,000. People are saying that. I don't know why they're saying that. I've been doing this for 20 years. Nobody's hiring people with just Security Plus and giving you 100,000. It's just not happening. That's just not. I don't know anybody who's done that. So, yeah, that's what I would advise you to do. You might not even want to do this field. There's other things you can do, by the way, that's making good money. On average, how long does it take to study for a Security Plus and pass it? It depends on the person. Depends on how you study. It depends on how fast you memorize things. Depends on if you're going to do hands-on. Depends on how dedicated you are to learn the material. If you do it right, you can walk away with a very good understanding of cybersecurity in about a few months, but it depends on where you're at. That's another thing. I don't know your technical expertise. I don't know where. If you're starting from zero, like if you don't know nothing, shit, probably. I mean, you shouldn't even take the Security Plus if you don't know anything. I'm working on IT and studying, so it's kind of hard to make time. I understand. I'm working IT and studying. Okay. I have a year in IT help desk. That's awesome. Okay, so number one, go ahead and download I got a free resume. Take a look at my resume to get an idea of what kinds of keywords people are looking for and how to word it. There's an ATS style resume that you need to have, right? You're already primed for getting a better income stream. You have a very good opportunity right now. You got experience. You got something that a lot of people who watch me don't have, which is experience. So you need to capitalize on that by explaining what you've done from a security perspective. You may think as an IT person you don't have any experience, but you do. So you just need to know what that is. So a lot of people think that security is just hacking or something, or forensics or something like that. And that's just not the case. I don't know how to hack. I'm not a hacker. Okay. I mean, I can mess around with it, but I'm just not a hacker. I mean, period. So that said, what kind of security things can you put on your resume? I don't know. Have you ever updated applications before? Have you ever secured an application? What I mean is, have you ever had to update it? The software was end of life and you had to update it. That's security stuff you should put on your resume. You should put how many that you had to do to show the impact. Like if you said that you updated 50 Office 365 Office 365 software suites on 500 on 50 systems. You updated 50 O365 systems, and the impact is that the organization was able to work more effectively, right? So you want to show how many people that you've affected, and then what was the impact at the end. So that's the kind of thing you want to have, the impact of what you did. You want to have the action that you did and the impact statement from a security perspective, and how that has altered the security posture of the organization is kind of how you want to word your resume. And if you download my resume, that's the kind of wording. It's free, by the way. Mostly I've worked on access provisions for employees. That's awesome. So that's access controls. I've deployed virtual machines. That's even more. So you need to put that on your resume, my man. Like, so you've already done security stuff. Security access provisions is literally security stuff. That's like literally what they're looking for. Where can I download your resume? Go to my link in description, link in bio. It'll be there. It's convocourses.net. Go there. There's books and all kinds of other stuff. Just ignore that. Go straight to the resume stuff. It's free. And then you get an idea of like how to word it. You don't want to copy my stuff word for word, but it'll give you an idea of what kind of format you need for your resume, how to word the different bullets on there, and how to highlight the security stuff you've done. And what you'll notice is that I don't have a lot of stuff on hacking. I don't have a lot of stuff. Where can I download your resume? Go link in description, convocourses.net, convocourses.net. If you're on LinkedIn, it's in my bio. If you're on watch me on YouTube, it's in the description. And just go there. It's free to download. It'll download a whole bunch of other resumes. That'll give you an idea of how to word it. And if you want more examples of how to word it, go to LinkedIn and search for other people's resumes. Search cybersecurity, search people. And then, I'm dropping some crazy game on you right now. I'm like, this is a crazy game. My resume is free. You can download it. It's got the template. It's got like how to word it and everything. What you'll notice on my resume is there's not a lot of technical, like I'm not running Nmap. I'm not hacking systems. You'll notice something totally different than what you probably think cybersecurity is. Cybersecurity is a very broad field. So cybersecurity is doing stuff you're doing, which is access controls. You're applying access controls. You're doing account management. That's cybersecurity. You're probably setting up, making sure that the audit logs are turned on. Maybe you're even reviewing audit logs. That's monitoring. That's continuous monitoring. That's also a security best practice that has to be done. If you've ever updated, if you've ever secured cloud, those virtual systems that you're setting up, you got to put that on your resume. You got to highlight that stuff. And at the very top, put cybersecurity person, because you're doing cybersecurity work. Put that on your resume. Put cybersecurity on your resume as many times. I work tickets. Like what? Yeah. What are you doing? You're updating systems. You're updating the security features on a system. You might be putting multi-factor authentication on those systems. You might be making sure that people's passwords have the proper strength on them. You might be maybe you're even doing assessments on people's systems. Maybe like that stuff has to be put on your resume. As a help desk person, having done it for 1 year, I guarantee you probably have more security experience than a lot of people on this call. But you just don't know how to. You know how to put it on there. That's what's happening. So you just got to be able to market yourself in the right way. That's what it's coming down to. And then you'll be able to get yourself a higher level, higher paying position, and you'll have more people contacting you for sure. Another thing you need to do is make sure your resume is at least on dice.com. I'll put it on Dice and Monster, and Dice, Monster, Career Builder, LinkedIn, and people will start contacting you. I have a security plus. What entry-level job should I go for? Help desk. IT support and help desk. I mean, I know that's not what people want to hear, but that's what you should do with your security plus. If you don't have any security experience, if you don't have any IT experience, yeah, help desk. Apply for a help desk job. A help desk job is a great way to transition in many different directions. From help desk, you can go into network engineering. You can be a junior level network engineer from there. You could be, if you're working with databases while you're on help desk, you can become a database administrator, a junior level data. Like it's really a foundational bit of, is really, really foundational. Help desk is. All right, guys, I think that's about it. Thank you guys for watching me. I really appreciate everybody. I've been talking for over freaking 2 hours, and I think I gotta get out of here. And people are still asking questions, and I really appreciate it, but I really gotta do my taxes or something else because wow. And there's so many great questions. I really appreciate it, guys, but I gotta go. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. I am out of here, and I'll see you guys next week.